Hi, thanks so much for joining Marketing Monday. My name is Natalie Armstrong-Motin with Marketing Resolution. It's another Monday. Are we ready to get marketing? I think we are. So I want to start today's marketing with just a couple of off-topic things. First, I've got my cup of coffee. People frequently ask, is it just in my tagline or do I really love coffee? I really love coffee. So today it is a white chocolate latte, all foamy and yummy. So I've got my coffee here and I'm ready to go to work. The other question I get frequently is, what are all of these books behind me? What are those? So these are all different leather or faux leather journals, and each one is for a separate client. And so every client has their own book, and this is where I keep my notes, keep ideas and jot things down, and that's how I keep track of my conversations and my ideas for each one of my clients. So this is today's work. So each one of those represents a client and what I'm working on for them. So those two topics done and dusted, answered. Yes, I drink coffee. Those are client files. All right, on to Marketing Monday. So today I want to talk a little bit about a question that I get quite often. Someone will send me a message, an email, or a phone call, and they'll ask me to help them with their brand. And I say, yes, absolutely happy to help you. And they'll say, great, I need a logo, and I don't know what my colors are. And I say, that's brand ID. That's something that's different than a brand. Do you need a logo and colors? We can do a brand ID. Or do you need help with your brand? And after we talk about what the difference is between those two terms, then we can move forward. Your brand, I find, is something that is a little bit more difficult to explain. Like I said, brand ID, that's logos. Those are your hex colors. That's brand ID. A brand, though, is something that I find lots of mediators and arbitrators to be missing. It's something that we maybe haven't talked about or really thought about, but it's really important. And so as I tell you what a brand is for our industry, you'll recognize, one, whether or not you have one, and you'll also be able to recognize those of our colleagues who do have a strong brand. And then you'll be able to utilize this information and create a good brand for yourself. It's pretty common that a mediator will call and say, all right, I've been mediating and arbitrating for a few years. I feel like I've got a good, strong hand on the thing. I've got my website, my business cards. I belong to the right groups. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and my practice is fine. It could be better, but it's fine, right? And frequently, the missing piece between my practice is fine and how can I make it better is just refining your brand. So let's talk about what a brand is and what a brand does. A brand is, it's not the graphics, it's not the logo, it's not the colors, but it's made up in some portion of those things. Your brand ID represents your brand. Your brand is your identity. Your brand is your practice's personality. Your brand is the key differentiator between you and another mediator or you and another arbitrator. So your brand is something that goes further than what most mediators or arbitrators say about their practice, and that is, I'm different because of all of my years of experience, my knowledge, my competence, my ethics, my tenacity on behalf of clients and parties, right? We hear that a lot. That's not really what differentiates you. That's not what makes you unique. That's not the personality of your practice. And so, and plus everybody kind of says that you don't want to be that, you don't want to say that anyway. So we want to use in our brand those things that distinguish each of our practices one from the other. right? I mean, there's lots of really good mediators out there. There's a lot of people who are really experienced, a lot of mediators who are very competent, a lot of mediators who are ethical and tenacious and all of those things, right? So what is it about your portion of the resolution industry, because it's, essentially a commodity business? What offering do you have? What thing do you do? What service do you provide? What personality makes you different? Not better necessarily, different, right? It becomes better, but start with different. I don't want to be overly dramatic about it, but without recognizing the brand of your practice, it creates kind of an identity crisis for us as we're building a practice. And we don't want to face that. So we can easily remove it just by figuring out what our brand is. In France, we call it the raison d'être, the reason for being, the reason for existing. And so as business people, as entrepreneurs, we want to think about kind of that same thing. What is our reason for being? What's our reason for existing, right? And for a lot of us as neutrals, the reason would be, this is my calling. The reason would be, I want to help provide access to justice. The reason would be, right, fill in the blank. What is your reason for being a mediator or an arbitrator? What is your raison d'être? What's your practice all about? In entrepreneurial books, in business books, they would say, what is your why, right? This is the part of your brand where you need to sit and think about why you're doing this work. What is it that, really motivates you to get up every day, comb your hair, brush your teeth, put on your lipstick, and get out there and do the work you do, right? What's your reason? What's your why? And, lots of different practices have different whys. And that's where the lovely bits come in, right? That's your brand. So the why is what makes you, what makes your practice, what's different. You can ask your family and your friends for some assistance in defining all of these characteristics. That works too. But you think about what is your passion? What's driving you to do this work? What do you really love about the resolution industry, right? So that's one of the questions that we need to ask to help you define your brand. The other thing that we want to ask when we're defining a brand is, what are you really, really great at doing? And so for some of us, that's going to be an answer being empathetic, or the experience that we bring to the table, or the verbal judo art that we have learned over time. So what is it that you're really great at? What does that look like? The next question that we want to ask as intelligent entrepreneurs is, what do my clients and the parties, what do they need from me? What's the missing piece for them? Why do they need to hire me? What's the pain situation for them, and how can I fix that, right? So what do they need from me? And with kind of those three questions, you can get a really good base. If you want to go one step further, though, then you, as a good entrepreneur should, ask the question, and how can I be rewarded for all of those things? Right? Because we're in business. So obviously there's remuneration that we need to talk about. So in what level are we talking about? Is this a bespoke practice? Is this a white glove service kind of a practice? Is this just an everyday litigated case kind of a practice? Is this an access to justice practice? Is it a community mediation practice? What does it look like on an economic level? Right? But the first three questions, those are the really important questions for your brand. And that is, again, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? What makes you want to wake up every day and do this kind of work? What are you really great at? What's special about your work at the table? And then what do our clients need from us, right? And how can you get paid for doing that? The passion portion of it, I mean, it should be really apparent, but it can be difficult. But sit down and put a pencil to paper and really think about what drives you. Where's your happy place in all of these processes, right? And then think about what your unique strengths are. What do you do best? What have you just got? What's your true skill set? And then some of the weaknesses, you'll want to outsource those. But what are you really, really great at doing? Is it your capacity to learn? Is it your ability to connect with people? What's your great strength? And then think about, again, who do you serve and what do they need from you? And the who do you serve, that's your primary target market, even a secondary or tertiary target market. But who do you serve? Who are your people, right? Really important question, because the next thing that we need to do is, after we've answered these questions, is combine your answers to what are you passionate about? What are you really strong about? What position do you have in the marketplace? And now we combine that with the people that you want to provide these services to, your target market. And you want to combine your psychographic preferences with what they need. What are their psychographic preferences? And at that intersection of what you love and what you're great at, with what your clients need, what the parties need from you, it's at that intersection that you'll find your brand. All right. And so that brand then gets carried forward, generally in using brand ID. So you've identified that these are your skills. This is what you're passionate about. This is what you're good at. This is what people need from me. Now, how do we communicate that? And your brand makes it easily identifiable for all of the people who are most likely to hire you, to, without having read anything in any of your marketing materials, to recognize, oh, that's you. And that's where we use logos and colors and images, and the personality gets put forward in a graphic way. Not graphic as in inappropriate way, but we're using graphics, right? Is it in video format? Is it in newsletter format? Is it posts on social media? All of those kinds of things. Is it is it a bunch of light colors, right? Is it kind of a Zen presentation? Are your colors more bold, fonts more bold? Is it a little bit more aggressive? Are you always asking an open-ended question? Are you always proffering, your service as a resource? What is it that is consistent, so that people, without even having to read the information, they know, oh, that's you. Oh, that's a post from Natalie. Oh, it's blue and green. That's Natalie, right? That's a thing about marketing. I'll click on that. They don't even have to read it. They don't even have to think twice about it. That's your brand. And those things combined, all of those things come together and weave the ability for you to communicate with your prospective clients in a way that then gets translated into the last portion of the conversation, and that's the profitability corner. So at that intersection now, you're building clients, you're reinforcing to the clients you've already had that they made the right choice. You're validating with prospective clients that you're the right choice. All of these things come together, and it's the cumulative effect of a strong brand ID with a strong brand, and the communication of all of those things to the right people at the right time. I know it seems maybe a little bit confusing. It's really not. And like I said, if you take pen to paper and you sit down and just ask those questions, ask the questions of why. Ask the question of what's my passion? What am I really great at? And the things I'm not great at, I need to outsource those. And who are my people? And what do they need from me? And how can all of those things be communicated in a brand that leads to profitability, right? And of course, like I said at the beginning, you do need a brand ID. That's the colors and the logo and the kinds of graphics that you're going to choose, or the medium that you're going to choose. So all of those things are important, and they do add up. But having a brand is frequently a missing piece for a lot of neutrals trying to build a successful practice. And Elizabeth, I see your comment here in the chat about having posted something like this on the Ombuds links last week. And it's not unique to our industry. It's something that we all have to think about and talk about. and refine over time. It's one of those things that has an organic life. We need to pay attention to that. Sometimes what we start out thinking our clients need most may not actually be where we end up. Once we start listening carefully to what people want from us, we can renovate and tweak and play with our brand and our brand ID to best use those tools to communicate with clients and prospective clients that we are, in fact, exactly the right neutral for whatever their needs might be. That is it for me and Marketing Monday. I hope this gave you something to think about. If you need help, you need assistance, you've got questions, you just let me know. You need the recipe for a really good white chocolate latte. I'm your girl. Hit me up. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.